Hi, I'm Scoot, and welcome to the Scoot on the Air YouTube channel. Yeah, don't you love the graphics? This weekend, I'm going to start actually buying a few things, ordering a few things to kind of build a little bit of a set. I mean, it's not going to be really much of a set, but it's going to be a little bit more of a set. I mean, in the meantime, I'm just going to continue to do what I'm doing. I hope you do it okay. I hope you have had a good day, and hope it's going to be a good weekend for you. This was a tough week for me in a couple of ways. It was really just tough in terms of topics on the air. And then I lost my friend, Kenny Nagum, a longtime friend who I've known for really most of my career, passed away. And he's in a better place now. So it was really hard. I saw him the day before he passed away, and that was tough. Kenny been with me really since the beginning of my career. So this is another episode of The Truth Behind the Microphone. And on Saturday nights, we do Scoot Stories. Now, here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to tell me, you can reach me here on YouTube, or you can reach me on Scoot on the Air Instagram, or Scoot on the Air Facebook. And let me know what you want me to talk about. Let me know what stories you want to hear, what questions you might have. Now, I'm at 376 subscribers, which is just a little bit. I mean, I love all of you, but I'd love to get to 400. That's our first big goal. So help me get to 400 by becoming a subscriber. Tell your friends, and tell you what. Let's do this. I want you to tell two people you like. Tell two people you like about the YouTube channel, Scoot on the Air. And tell three people you hate about the YouTube channel, Scoot on the Air, YouTube. Hey, Toby, thank you for your comments. And sorry for my loss. Yeah, it was tough. Kenny and his wife Denise are godparents to my son Sean. And it was really hard. He's really been with me really since the beginning of my career as an account executive. And, he was just a very good friend in so many ways. So for those who think that, my career has been just like, one big, great thing after another, that is in one big boost after another, it hasn't been that way. Sometimes it's been a struggle. And I guess what I want to share with you and telling a Scoot story is that, you can't ever give up in life. You can't ever give up. And the one thing that nobody can take from you is the faith that you have in yourself, the faith and the belief that you're going to make it. And I've had to have that faith. I've had that faith challenged and questioned, but I've never wavered. And it's always stayed strong with me. And I'll take you back to a very, very early thing in my life. I guess this was junior high school, into the early years of high school. I started a band. And I guess this was 8th, 9th grade, started a band. And, we were pretty good. We were playing in country club dances. We were playing CYO parties. I mean, we got some gigs. And it was really pretty cool. I was a drummer. And we had a really talented singer named John Ennis. And John could harmonize. And, among little bands like that, there was no harmony. Well, we actually had harmony. So we were pretty good. Well, there was one problem with the band. The drummer. Me. And at some point, the band kicked me out of the band I started because they found a better drummer. We used to practice at our manager's house. Yeah, I mean, 9th grade, we had a freaking manager. Go figure, right? But it was like, still fun. We weren't making much money, of course, but it was fun. The guy who lived next door where we practiced was a really good drummer. And every time we practice, he would practice his drums. And I knew he was better than me. It still hurt when the band kicked me out of the band that I started. I mean, I started the band and they kicked me out. And that was one of the times in my life when I realized that I want to try to be the best at what I do because I don't want to be kicked out of anything because I'm not good enough. So that was a very early lesson in my life to just work hard to be the best you can be because I wasn't the best. And they found a better drummer. And I came face to face with that reality. And it hurt. It hurt a lot. And that was a tough thing. So moving on to, I guess radio at this point. Moving on to radio. I've told you the story about how when I first got into radio, I was so inexperienced and so bad that when I finally got this full-time job on Rampart 102, which ironically was WWL FM, but it was a new top 40 current hit station, and they went from like elevator, soft listening elevator music to pop rock, and it was called Rampart 102. They put me on in the morning because nobody listened to the morning in the early 70s on FM. Nobody listened in the morning on FM. Everybody listened to AM. At night, FM had some listeners, afternoon a few, midday, mornings, but mornings were the least. Well, you know what? I started doing a damn personality-driven show in the morning, and it worked. And then I'm going to run through this kind of quickly. So then things are going, I'm starting to get ratings, and they're shocked. And as far as I know, I did not know of anybody else in the country doing a personality show on FM. And my thought process was, if people are listening to personality shows on AM in the morning, then I'm going to do one on FM because people don't care whether it's AM or FM. They just care if the material's there, if the content is there. So I did the content and people listened. So then I go to this Miss Wet t-shirt contest and I am fired. And I told that story, Truth Behind the Microphone. It's another one of these stories. So I'm going to gloss over this. So I got fired. It was inappropriate because the radio station ran commercials for the Miss West t-shirt contest. They fired me. I ended up suing them, got back pay, got another job right away. And it really was one of the best things that happened to my career. But I still got fired. And I was newly married. And that was hard. But I had to believe that I could go on. And then, I would get ratings and one station would hire me and then another station would hire me. And this was all in New Orleans. And I guess really the big peak in my career hit when I started doing mornings on B97 FM in the mid 80s. There was just something about the mid 80s. There was something about the music. There was something about me being there in the morning, Scoot in the morning. And it was just this great nexus of everything coming together. And it was amazing. And then they decided to make a change there after a couple of years. And they wanted to bring back Cajun Ken Cooper. Again, without a job. I went to another local radio station here. Not long after that, I got a call to go to San Diego. Morning show in San Diego. Man, I'm in Southern California. I've got this Corvette. I thought my life was great. I was pretty much alone in my life at that point, and I missed my son. That was hard. But he came out to see me often, and I lived in a penthouse apartment over the water, and you could see the fireworks at SeaWorld every night at 9 o'clock. So it was a pretty cool place to live. Well, after about a year, guess what? Total change in format. The company that I worked for decided to go to new age music. So here I am in San Diego without a job again. I have a chance to come back to the area. And I had an offer to go to WKRG FM in Mobile, Pensacola. It's in Mobile, but it's a Mobile, Pensacola market. And I told them that I wanted to do TV too. So they agreed. I did the Scoot Report, which was celebrity interviews and opinionated features. I did the Scoot Report for TV, for Channel 5 News, and I did Scoot in the Morning on the radio station. So that was great. But I realized I'd learned everything that I could learn under those circumstances. So after a couple of years that I had a chance to come back to New Orleans, and I was on Magic 101.9. Magic. It was Magic 102 then. It's Magic 101.9 today. And I'm doing mornings, and right next door is WWL, literally next door to my studio. I wanted to do talk. And so I took a chance. I gave up music radio and I did talk. And I had people telling me, you're never going to make it. They're not going to, the audience is not going to accept you as a talk show. As a talk show host. They know you as a music guy. I had people in the business discouraging me, telling me I wouldn't make it. Oh, I did. And it was because I believed in myself. And I didn't listen to what other people said. And what other people said about me did not define me. And I'm telling you this because no matter where you are in your life, no matter how old you are, this is a great thing to know. It's a great thing to be reminded about. That what others say about you does not have any impact on who you really are. There's a voice inside of all of us telling us who we are. And you follow that voice. And you don't let people discourage you. I was discouraged. I was discouraged all along the way. Even when I started to succeed, people still dismissed me. I believed in myself. I didn't follow any pattern. I didn't follow any regular pattern of radio. I did my thing. And in some ways it was unconventional. Some ways it was different. So I went to WWL. The ratings go through the freaking roof doing talk. At the end of my contract, they offered me a $1,200 a year raise. I was insulted. I mean, the ratings more than doubled. And the whole station went up in ratings. And they give me a $1,200 a year raise? I mean, here's what I realized at the time. They saw me as a music DJ doing a morning show that they hired as a talk show host. In their mind, I wasn't really a talk show host. Interestingly, the guy that discovered Rush Limbaugh heard me and recommended me for a station in San Antonio, KTSA. Got that job. And it was a great moment because that was the first time I was hired as a talk show host. And from then on, I was a talk show host. Then I was offered to come back to New Orleans, B97 FM, went talk, Howard Stern in the morning. I came on after Howard Stern. Well, after a couple of years of that, with success, with rating success, management decided to go back to music. I'm out of a job. Again. There was no opportunity for me in New Orleans. I had gone to LA and I did the morning show on KABC in Los Angeles. And I really thought that I would be going to LA. They offered me a job. My agent at the time said, they don't really know where to put you. They're not sure what to do with you. They want to hire you, but they're not sure where to put you. I went to Philadelphia to audition. And in Philadelphia, they just immediately offered me the afternoon show. Immediately. So my agent guided me and said, I think it's best if you go to Philadelphia. So I went to Philadelphia. And while I'm in Philadelphia, the program director that had worked with me at B97 in New Orleans doing talk, moved to Miami, WIOD in Miami, like the WWL of Miami, and offered me a really big increase to come from Philadelphia there. So I left Philadelphia early and went to Miami, and I went for the money. And that was not the right thing to do because I was doing okay at the time, but it was a pretty big increase. So I went for the money. Well, after about, I don't know, was it 9 months maybe? They bought out my contract. They got rid of me. And here's what I am certain happened. I was on the air one day and I had an opinion about the stores that you would go into and nobody spoke English. And it was aggravating. I mean, I'm in America and I can't go into, I can't communicate with anybody. I said something about that on the air. And a big client, I believe, pressured them. They were going to pull their account if they didn't get rid of me. Now, they bought out my contract, so I had money. And, my agent was still working on jobs for me, and probably 6 months went by, and I just, was hanging out in Miami. I didn't like it. I wanted to be working. Then a job in Seattle opened up. So then I moved to Seattle. And things were great in Seattle. I loved Seattle. But it seemed like I was going in a different direction. So I had done a show when I was in Seattle. We had gone with, there were several radio stations from San Francisco and Seattle and Portland and Los Angeles and a couple other cities. We were all flown to Tokyo to do our shows live from Tokyo. And it was a promotion with Delta Airlines. So in doing my show, the people in Portland were really impressed with the show that I was doing because they heard me and they saw what I was doing. So they offered me a job. And I took it because things seemed to be getting a little unsettled in Seattle. So I took that job, and that was great. 2 years later, a new program director comes in. Changes things. I'm one of the changes. So here I am in Portland. I've never told all of this on the air before. I never really talked about all of this, but there's a moral to this story. There's a reason that I'm telling you this. Then I go to Denver, and Denver was great for a while. New program director comes in. She decides to make changes some of the talent. Again, out of a job. This is typical in radio. It's very typical in radio. It's why it's a wonder. I've been doing this for 50 years now. But it's a rough business. And a new program director comes in and sometimes they want to change things. And boom, you could be really good, but you're out. Maybe they want to hire their friend. Maybe, they don't like you for whatever reason, or they think somebody else is better. It's kind of like the drummer thing, they found a better drummer than me. So here I am in Denver, and I'm offered a job to come back to New Orleans, really good money to come back to New Orleans. And my girlfriend at the time, who I had been with for 14 years, did not want to move again. I met her in San Antonio. She moved with me to New Orleans, Philadelphia, Miami, Seattle, Portland, and finally she moved to Denver. She didn't want to move again. For our relationship, I gave up radio. Huge, huge mistake. But I did what I thought I had to do at the time. So guess what I did? I wrote and directed TV commercials. I even won an award for one of the commercials. I mean, they were low budget TV commercials, but I mean, they were really good. They were creative. I mean, I had studied marketing and advertising my entire career, and the awareness and my instincts that built the Scoot brand, I used to build the brands of companies that wanted commercials done for them. But there wasn't much money in it. And I ended up losing everything. I filed bankruptcy. And I'll never forget the day that I had to turn my car over to a dealership, and then took a bus back to my apartment in downtown Denver. That was hard. But I didn't lose faith in me. Ultimately, I come back to New Orleans after the breakup of this long, well, 2 years after I gave up radio, then she left me, and I'm sure I wasn't the easiest person to be with. I'm not placing blame here or anything, but it was really tough, leaving me at the lowest point in my life. And I come back to New Orleans, no money, no car, no place to live. I'm sleeping on a friend's sofa. I end up staying with my sister and her husband for about maybe 5-6 months. Then I got a smaller boy. So anyway, I let WWL know that I was back in town. And they hired me to do fill-in work. Man, I was like on top of the world in this city. And I'm coming back and I'm doing fill-in work. Tommy, Garland, somebody would go on vacation. Okay, well, let's let Scoot do the show. I was a part-timer. I didn't even have my own show. But I sucked it up, because sometimes in life you have to suck it up and you have to do what you have to do, even if it's not what you think you should be doing. So I did that. And then I was offered the night show, 8 to midnight. That's like, in radio, that's not prime time. I was Scoot. This is New Orleans. And now I'm part-time, and now I'm at night. Man, I thought that was the greatest thing in the world. That's when I discovered 80s night at One Eye Jack's. Because I'd get off work at midnight, and I'd want to go have a glass of wine on the way home. And I found that there was this place that didn't really get crowded until 11 o'clock. So on Thursday nights, I'd go to 80s night at One Eye Jack's. So I did that, and then Angela Hill was hired, and Angela Hill did not work out, so then they gave me 1 to 4. That's what I'm doing now. 1 to 4 in the afternoon on WWL, 870 AM, 105.3 FM, and radio.com. And if you don't have that app yet, download the app, radio.com, type in WWL, and you've got my show wherever you have your phone. It's 1 to 4, New Orleans time. I am a radical moderate. I'm registered independent. I don't give a damn about either party. I was laughing at President Trump's speech earlier today in Tulsa. It was freaking hysterical. I mean, it was like a comedy show. And even funnier than that was the audience that thought it was just so like unbelievably incredible. Like it was friggin' Jesus Christ speaking. So I continue to follow my instincts. Sometimes people, I think, perceive me as somebody that just had it made all of their life. And that, you just had one opportunity after another and everything was great. It wasn't always that way. I struggled. I lived through tough times. But what got me through those tough times was the faith in myself, and also being willing to suck it up and start over. And when I came back to New Orleans, I started over. I was part-time. Man, I was the #1 personality in the city on WWL in the early 90s. Like a #1 in the city. and I'm coming back and I'm doing part-time work. But I didn't let that insult me. I went in there and I did the best job I could every single day. And then I get 8 to midnight. I'm full time. I've got health coverage now. I've got a real salary. It wasn't that great, but it was good. It was good. And, I did a good job at night. And I applied myself like it was a morning show. And there are a lot of people in my business, they so want to be famous. I could name names, but I'm not going to. There are people in my business that they're in the business to be famous, but they're not willing to do the work. And frankly, they don't have the talent to be where they think they should be. But they're not willing to do the work that it takes to get there. And so for all those people who think I'm some kind of crazy wacko liberal, the deepest characteristic that I have is work ethic and working hard and not expecting anything for nothing and being willing to suck it up and start over and do whatever has to be done to do the job. And that's where I am now. And that's where I am with my YouTube channel. And that's where I am with Scoot on the Air Instagram. And that's where I am with Facebook, Scoot on the Air. These are not as popular as I would like them to be. And sometimes it's discouraging to see the numbers. I appreciate all of you who are there. But I'm not going to give up, and I'm still going to do the best job I can. I do the best job I can, whether it's 50 people watching, listening, or 50,000. I'm going to do the same job. And that is something that I've been blessed with. And it's just an important part of being successful. One of the best books I've ever read, in fact, I think I've read it 3 times in my life, was titled The Winner Within. The Winner Within. It was written by Pat Riley, former NBA coach. Is he still manager of the Miami Heat? I know for a long time he was manager of the Miami Heat. He was a great basketball coach. Pat Riley was an innovator. And there were so many things in that book that just spoke to me. I remember in particular, sitting on the beach in Miami. And I wasn't working. And I read that book. That was the second time I read the book. And I was so inspired by it. And not long after that, Seattle came up, and then Portland, then Denver. Now I'm back home in New Orleans. But you do what you have to do. But one thing that I remember, and I remember a lot of things about the book, but one moment was when Pat Riley said, if you're in a card game, and if the card game is a metaphor for life, and if you feel like the deck is stacked against you, and you're just not getting the right cards, he said, you can quit. But if you stay in the game long enough, at some point, the cellophane will come off a new deck of cards that will be stacked in your favor. And that's why you stay in the game, and that's why you keep trying. I'm Scoot. Thank you for being with me. This is another episode of The Truth Behind the Microphone, Scoot Story on the Scoot on the Air YouTube channel. By the way, that book, The Winner Within, by Pat Riley, still very relevant today. Okay, so join me here. I hope you subscribe. We're trying to, get to 400. That would be a cool goal, and then we'll have goals from there. Again, I'm working on some set pieces here. And then thank you for joining me here, Scoot on the Air YouTube. Join me on Instagram, Scoot on the Air, and also Facebook, Scoot on the Air. Have a great night. Love you guys.